So I did a video on the Eastern Conference playoffs as we're halfway through the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs, and in this video I'm covering the Western Conference. And let's start off by covering this series. Game 4 will take place in Anaheim. The Ducks are up 2-1 in this series over the Edmonton Oilers. We know that Connor McDavid is not 100%. He didn't pick up a point in the first two games, but he did hurt his ankle in Game 2, I believe, and so he was a bit of a factor in Game 3, but the Ducks just went nuts. 7-4 was the final score. And this is something where I thought Anaheim can take out Edmonton because they have a lot more speed with all their young guys. And also the goaltending. I know Lucas Dostal hasn't had the greatest, but at this point, Anaheim could have been up 3-0 in this series. And, unfortunately, for them, they didn't get that Game 1 win. But Oilers are gonna have to win Game 4. It's a do or die for them. They can't go down 3-1 to the Ducks, even though they have home ice and they've come back before in other years. I don't think their team, the way it's built, will be able to beat Anaheim. The Ducks have a good mix of veteran talent as well as the young studs that they have, and between Jacob Trouba, John Carlson, Chris Kreider, Radko Gudas, Mikhail Granlund, they have enough guys up front and on the back end to help them out. And Jackson Lacombe has started to pick up his game quite a bit. Leo Carlson's getting going. Cutter Gauthier had a good Game 3. The Oilers need more from the supporting cast. This is the whole issue with their team and the depth that they have. Is they always rely on McDavid and Draisaitl, and really they're like Batman and Superman, and they go bonkers and carry this team, and they cover up a lot of warts that the team has. So at this point, they need help. And Connor Ingram had a great first period in Game 3. But I do think the Oilers will have to come out firing. They'll have to dictate the play and the pace of the game. And they need Game 4 before they head back home for Game 5. The other Western Conference series, the one that I'm not going to spend much time on is the Avs are up 3-0 against LA. To be fair, LA deserves better. They've played, the Avs pretty tight, but in the end, a lot of people predicted a sweep, and Colorado is going to go for a sweep in Game 4. The Kings, they just can't muster any offense. Obviously, losing Kevin Fiala hurts, but they just seem to be spending more time trying to prevent Colorado from scoring than they are trying to score themselves. And so, Anton Forsberg, this run has been good for him in terms of leading up to the playoffs. He's played pretty good these games as well. But I think, any day the Avs can go off. Like Game 4, they can go off and it sucks because Anze Kopitar deserves better. So hopefully the Kings can actually win a Game 4 before they head out for Game 5 back to Colorado. That'd be nice because it would suck for Kopitar to get swept in his final season in the playoffs. I guess the only solace is if they lose, at least he'll get a salute in front of the hometown crowd. So let's see how Game 4 plays out. The other series, Vegas got taken to by Utah in terms of Game 3. Utah took it to them. Sorry, that's the way I meant to say it. And the young guns for Utah are flying. And with Logan Cooley, Dylan Gunther, Clayton Keller, Mikhail Sergachev, Vegas just can't seem to keep up. And Carter Hart got lit up early, and I personally want the Mammoth to win. I don't want Vegas to win. Vegas is one of those teams I don't care for to see them go far. Sorry, I shouldn't be biased in these, but whatever, man. I can say whatever I want. It's my video. I don't want to see the Knights win. I want to see the Knights get knocked out, so I would love for Utah to take a commanding lead in Game 4. If they can keep playing the way they're doing, their speed is going to, again, wear on Vegas. Vegas doesn't have a lot of speed on their end, and eventually it's going to catch up to them. And their goaltending, Carter Hart has played really good since John Tortorella came on board. And last game was the first time he's really faltered, I guess, since he's been back. But we'll see how things play out in Game 4. And finally, the best series of the Western Conference, what everybody thought would be the first round, is kind of living up to that. Dallas and Minnesota. Boldy scores the overtime winner with 28 seconds left in the first overtime period. Minnesota and Dallas are tied at 2 going back to Game 5. Part of me is starting to think, because at this point I thought Roope Hintz might be back. He's not back, and without that, to me, the power shifts towards Minnesota more. Simply because Ottinger's played good, but Jesper Wallstedt has also stood on his head and probably has been the better goaltender of the two. And without hints, the depth for Dallas gets tested because then you're looking at Wyatt Johnson, who is, a great young player. And then you're looking at two elite wingers and Mikko Rantanen and Jason Robertson. But when you look at, Minnesota, they got Joel Eriksson Ek in terms of defensive two-way game to counter. And then they also have two stud wingers in Matt Boldy and Kirill Kaprizov. And then the X factor ends up being the blue line because Minnesota, they can activate Quinn Hughes and Brock Faber whenever they need to. And that is a huge advantage on Dallas because Thomas Harley hasn't been, the same player this season overall. And Miro Heiskanen also being banged up, like it's not the same. Their depth again is being tested. Dallas again did not address their blue line deficiencies in the trade deadline there in the off season or during the season, and at the trade deadline specifically. Tyler Myers is not the answer. They needed to get another big guy to help them in the top four. So I do think now the one thing going for Dallas is home ice, but if Minnesota can't steal game 5, they have a good shot to win game 6. I mean, I think without hints, he's a big factor in this. It just, the depth gets tested. Jamie Benn's a lot older. Yes, Minnesota's also got the old guys as well. But I do think that the series is starting to swing in Minnesota. The momentum is in Minnesota's favor. I know they lost in overtime in game 3, but I just feel like if they're playing more of a rough and tumble game with the bottom 6, leveling up against Dallas. So it's going to be interesting to see how things go going forward because at this point the Western Conference has had some interesting matchups, and at this point besides the Avs series, the other 3 have the potential to go to game 7 and the way they've been going. So let's see how game 4s play out across the board for the Oilers and the Mammoth, and then we'll go from there. Catch you guys later, and once again, please check out my Eastern Conference predictions. And also, if you're interested, I have the Verk Presents Basketball. If you want to know about my first round updates regarding the NBA and the playoffs for the Western and Eastern Conference there as well. Talk to you guys later.